The Niobrara River flows west to east about 570 miles, mostly through Nebraska, ending near the town of the same name where it joins the Missouri. 40 miles upstream of the confluence is the Spencer Dam, built in 1927. In the early hours of March 14, 2019, after NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, issued storm warnings for rain and snow across the Midwest, the dam failed, unleashing a torrent of water and broken ice, reportedly 11 feet high. It didn't take long for the force to reach the town of Niobrara in Knox County in northeast Nebraska, wiping out everything in the low-lying areas, including rodeo grounds, a café, county road buildings, and Neilsen Hay, a large supplier of quality feed for horses and cattle. A short warning away from there was fifth-generation cattle rancher, husband, and soon-to-be father Clint Pischel. His 400-head ranch sits right on the Niobrara River.
6 a.m. sharp, somebody from the dam called and said you need to evacuate now. I told him, I says, I got cows, I got calves that I know are on that river bottom. And they said, you don't have time, you need to evacuate now and get to high ground. Finally, at about 8:30, it came. And when it came, the wall of ice came with it. It all happened within 30 seconds. I guess my best way to describe it is like an ocean. Non-stop waves, and it had to have been 30 foot deep. So when things finally died down, we knew the water wasn't going to get any higher, and we finally made it down. And you look over the banks and down to your cabin bottom, and that's your you just see things, you know, calves laying out on the banks. So we knew it wasn't good, but we didn't know it was that bad.
Not far from the Pischels is the sixth-generation farm of Willard Rzishka. His Czech ancestors settled the property in 1870. With the exception of the log home built that year and the one he lived in built in 1906, both badly damaged, everything, including livestock, was a total loss.
You know what? I can't run very fast anymore, but I'll tell you what, I move faster than normal. That's as fast as it come. I mean, it was on top of us. There's probably a 20-foot wall of ice come through here. Buildings, most of the buildings are gone. My hay, all life. We tried to get to them the day before, and the ice piled up against the gate, and we couldn't get them. We couldn't get them out. We couldn't get them out of there. And so when this second round come, it drowned them.
Because so many roads were closed into and out of Knox County, it took a few days for Willard Rzishka's state senator Tim Gregor to visit. He came with eyes and ears open to learn of the loss and to offer some hope.
The Nebraska Department of Agriculture has been very good. They got hotlines for all the farmers, Farm Bureau themselves, you know, agencies and NRCS, the FSA, to be able to go in and get help for even, unfortunately, the burying of the livestock. You know, there'll be help for that. It's going to be a mess. Yeah.
20 miles southeast of Rzishka's ranch is the town of Verdigris. The creek by its same name rose quickly that morning as well, flooding the small rural community on the west side of Highway 14. On the east side, and just a bit higher in elevation, is Verdigris Stockyards. Owners Larry Cooper and Sarah Anthony know all the ranchers affected by the flood, so they opened their facility as a drop point and distribution center for supplies coming in from in-state and out-state individuals and organizations like Ag Community Relief.
Hay is hay's number one right now. Fencing supplies. We had miles and miles of fence washed out with the river. You know, an estimate says a mile of fence costs about $10,000 to put in. So, you know, that places a huge financial strain on our producers. So it's been great seeing the fence posts, wires, and all those supplies come in, because that's something that just doesn't happen overnight. Things have to dry out. We got to clear trees to be able to rebuild that fence, and you know, we're less than 2 months away from going to grass here, because with the yard conditions, the mud, and right now there's a lot of sickness. So those calves that were lost, and then they got rained on, then they got snowed on. So now, you know, the real challenge is scours, you know, and herd health and keeping those little baby calves healthy. And so the vet supplies have been great as well, because we got it for the number of calves that are lost. The ones that survive, we've got to keep them healthy to try to make a profit for these ranchers.
Eddie Faley, Vice President of Michigan-based Ag Community Relief, saw the disaster unfold on social media. They began immediately to assemble supplies, and 1 week later, he and 3 volunteers headed to Verdigris to help. They've been assisting farmers and ranchers affected by Mother Nature's wrath since 2017, after wildfires ravaged Texas, Kansas, and Oklahoma.
Part of our goal here was to get our boots on the ground and see what the needs are, so that the supplies that are donated are stuff that's, you know, truly useful and what they're in the most, you know, need of. So Ag Community Relief has partnered up in some outside sources in a range cube program here, so we can buy range cubes relatively you know, reasonable, and they're easy for transport. You know, with hay being in tight demand across the nation as a whole, this was a good opportunity for us to continue supplemental feeds at a reasonable cost.
65 of Nebraska's 93 counties have been declared disasters, with early estimates at $450 million in loss to the livestock sector, the same for grain production, and $500 million in loss to infrastructure. Undoubtedly, many of those affected belong to the Nebraska Farm Bureau, who represent 61,000 member families. On the second Saturday after the flood, Nebraska Farm Bureau President Steve Neilsen and an army of staff visited Verdigris to throw a barbecue for the town, provide information, and hopefully raise their spirits.
What's important to recognize that we are in tough economic times before this storm hit. And so margins have been tight in practically everything that we grow or raise here in Nebraska. A storm like this that affects so many people adds to the difficulty for lots and lots of people. And so I truly understand and have a lot of concerns about where we go with this. You know, making sure that farmers and ranchers are able to access programs that are there are very important. We'll do what we can at Nebraska Farm Bureau, but again, you know, we're not going to be able to help all of everyone's needs, but we can help some people with some needs, particularly here at the beginning of this situation. We want to help fill in that gap if we can between now and when other programs are available.
Jeff Euler serves on the Knox County Farm Bureau Board. In Verdigris for the barbecue, he made it clear, whether rancher or not, Farm Bureau is there to help.
We haven't been paying attention if they're Farm Bureau members even. We've been helping people that need it, whether you're from town or out in the country. You know, neighbors helping neighbors, trying to get everybody to a better situation than where they're currently at.
I'm not leaving. I am going to stay here because all these people that have helped me so far, 90% of the people that come to help, I've never met them. I don't know them. And they leave in the evening, and a lot of times I don't even have a chance to tell them thank you. And that's not my way of doing things. I just believe in the right way. Thank you.
Visit nefb.org to donate to Nebraska Farm Bureau's Disaster Relief Fund or apply for aid. To date, they've raised over $1 million to help those in need. And there's the Agriculture Disaster Exchange page where members can seek or offer help, as well as share information. And visit agcommunityrelief.com and their Facebook page to help the volunteer-based nonprofit with their ongoing efforts.